Hi, so today I'll be showing you how to use enums in Rust, what they actually are, and yeah, so it's very common in a lot of different programming languages to have variable that can only have, you know, that can only take one of several possible values, but all these values are predefined. So yeah, so let me show you what this is. In case you're coming from a different programming language, you probably already know what an enum is, but still, for the sake of completion, let's define an enum called car type. And this car type can basically take a couple of values. It can be SUV, it can be, let's say, hatch, or it can be a sedan. And it's also very common to see these values expressed as all caps. Now let's write a function which takes this car type, and based on the type of the car that we have, it prints out some kind of information. So um, let's say that the information it prints is size. So we appropriately call this function print size. It takes a car type, so this, and then in like you would use switch case in most languages to handle all the different possible outcomes of an expression. Here in Rust, you can use something called match, and match uh, basically, if you write match statement, it basically wants you to handle all the different cases that can show up, right? So the first case would be car type hatch, and you have to give it a fat arrow to handle anything that happens in this arm of the match statement. And these are, in Rust, these are called arms of match statement. Now something else can happen if it's a sedan, like you can print a different message, and then something else can happen if it was SUV, right? And for now, okay, expected value found enum car type. Oh, sorry, you have to apply match on the variable, not the enum. Now if it's hatch, let's just print this, and let's copy this to other arms. And of course this is going to be, you could actually, just to show you how this works, we could try to print this, right? But then it gives you an error saying that debug trait has not been implemented, and there's a very quick way to fix it, which is you can say that this enum, basically you derive is something that we can discuss about later on, but basically this is a macro, and what it will do is once you compile it, this will then add a lot of code on top of your enum. So it will add the code that is required to debug printed in a print line statement. So we'll discuss this in a later tutorial maybe. So if you do that, it's done, and then let's copy paste the same thing, and this is SUV, and this is a hatch. Okay, now from our main function, we can create an enum. So let my car equals to car type SUV, oh, it's sedan, and then let's call this a function called print size and pass it the car type, or my car. And let's see what happens. Now it is going to give you warnings because we never constructed SUV or hatch, and Rust is smart enough to know that this is never going to happen since this type was never created. In case you wanted to remove this error, you can create all three of these, so SUV and hatch. And also there's something else, we are defining this variable again in Rust. It's called shadowing, and you don't really have to worry about it. It's allowed and it won't crash. Now let's run this program, and you can see the output of all of these three function calls. there's something else that I want to touch upon. What if we had a different type later on? Let's say this type, which doesn't, I mean, and we have not handled it in our match statement, and it will complain that, one arm of match statement is missing because car type can take an additional value, which is alien in our case, and it has not been handled. And if you try to run, this program, it will crash, saying that this has not been covered. You can also do a cargo check, which gives you a much better, I mean, it's usually the same, but it will tell you what is this thing that's actually missing, and also gives you a very good hint as to what you should be doing to bypass this error. And we just copied this, and to do basically means it has not been implemented yet, it has to be implemented, so on. This has not been implemented yet. And if I run cargo check, it's fine. It says that this since there is no such thing as alien, this trade debug will not be implemented for it, and that's fine with us, and you get the output correctly. So that's how you write a match statement on top of enums. There is a little more to be covered on enum, which I will cover in part 2 of this tutorial series. It's fine.